Hi. So, I'm sitting here with the guitar that I just picked up, uh, literally just, a few days ago. I got it because I liked the neck. It looked cool, the large headstock, maple fretboard, which this isn't actually a maple fretboard, but we'll see that in a second. But, I liked the look of it and everything on Craigslist, so I went and checked it out and liked the neck, so I ended up buying it. And this will be the neck for my ultimate guitar. And Squier, of course, I have no problem with that. Inexpensive is fine as long as, the neck feels good and everything. And, wood is wood. It's not like the Fender company that makes Squier. It's not like they, spend the time to go through planks of wood, boards of wood, all the, like a warehouse full of maple, and go like tap, tap, tap. Okay, I think this one here will go into a Squier because it's maybe, not good maple, somehow we can foresee the future, this board of wood, this tree that was chopped down, wood's wood. Obviously, if they have like highly figured maple, they probably, set that aside. But just plain old maple, a board is a board, So I'm sure, there are a ton of Squiers that end up with, really nice quality, maple necks, wood in the necks. I'm sure that there are some, official Fender guitars, not Squier, Fender, that, they make a neck and, 3 years later, the wood shifts and twists or warps or something. There's nothing that you can do about that. So I have no problem with, the name Squier on it. Anyway, so let's take a look at it, and I wrote down some notes so that I hopefully wouldn't be sitting here during the video going, trying to think of everything. So anyway, the first thing that, I noticed when I went to look at the guitar, well actually I noticed it online, the logo. It's cool looking. I would say this is something similar to Fender's Transition logo. Not the thin spaghetti logo that they used, up to like 64 or 5, whatever. And it's not the modern logo that's thicker, but doesn't really have these, this coloring usually. It's gold inside with the black outline, and it's thicker. You can really notice it with the top of the R, that little, loop at the top. It's thicker than the spaghetti logo would have been. So that's cool. This here, it looks like, the way Stratocaster's written and everything, it looks like, like a mid-50s, like just after Fender sold to CBS. So, it's like the Transition logo, like maybe a 65 Strat would have. But of course, a 65, Fender Strat would say Fender. This says Squier. But other than Fender or Squier, all of this, the writing and everything looks like a, 65-ish or something. I kind of prefer, just looks-wise, the later one, 66 or 7, whatever, whenever they moved over to that, I'm not sure exactly my history, but where it says Stratocaster, the big black letters, and it kind of curves, that's kind of like that 70s looking thing, and I kind of like that, whole vibe. But, whatever. It's, a nice neck. It feels great. It's, been worn in quite a bit. You can see a lot of the wear on the edging, a lot of wear here on the edge of the neck. The frets, are fairly, they're kind of vintagey, maybe a little bit bigger than, what I would classify as like vintage Fender frets. A little bit bigger. But they've been flattened out a bit from play. Probably eventually I would end up replacing them, I like stainless steel frets. I like super jumbo, giant stainless steel frets, and of course, scalloped, neck. I like that. But that's in the future. The plan right now is to get the whole guitar together, get it up and running, playing, and then, over the course of a few months, whatever, fine-tune the things that need to be fine-tuned. But, get it up and running. So the tuners look good. The tuners are decent. I may end up just leaving those, eventually upgrading to locking tuners, but maybe not. If it stays in tune fine, with tremolo use and everything, leave the tuners. What do I care? I do like the 2 string trees. I know some people don't. Some people like only the one on the top 2 strings, the E and the B. But I like the 2 of them. I don't know, 70s kind of looking thing. But I think I play fairly aggressively, so if I'm like down here on the 1st or 2nd fret, and bending, a lot, sometimes I've had issues where the string will pop out of the slot. And of course, that's not a good thing, when you're playing the show and everything and you're in the middle of, playing, and all of a sudden one of the strings jumps over a slot and it's all out of whack and out of tune, and for a few seconds you're like panicking because like what's going on, and then you go, oh, so you have to be like somehow like lift it and pop back into the thing. It just sort of derails the whole momentum of playing live. So I have no problem with that. It has the truss rod at the top, which I like the adjustment at the top. I really don't like it down at the heel where you have to take the neck off, make the adjustment, bolt it back on, string it all back up, tune it all back up, let it settle in, check it out, and then find out, oh, still have to adjust it. Loosen all the strings off, neck off, unbolt it, adjust it again, put the neck back on, bolt it back in. It's a giant production, and I don't like it. Once the neck is on, nice and solid, for good tone transfer from neck to body, I like to just leave the neck on. Ideally, I would never ever unbolt the neck. So I like that. Of course, 70s look, I would prefer the bullet truss rod. I kind of like that look, but whatever. There's a possibility that I could take the nut off of this, get a replacement bullet nut on the truss rod and put that on. But that may not even be, it may be more trouble than it's worth. May not even worry about that. So anyway, like I said, the frets are nice. They are sticking out a little bit at the edges, but right now where I live, it's really cold and really, really, really dry. So the wood may have shrunk a little bit and the edges might be sticking out. Feeling them, it's really not the tang of the frets, the little piece that pushes into the wood. It's really just the very, very edge of the frets, just the corners, and it's really barely, barely noticeable. I've been playing this guitar a little bit the last day or two, and it really doesn't hinder my playing at all. It's just something sort of that I can feel. But, if, say in the spring, the wood expands and now it's not even an issue, if in the spring the wood expands and there is still a little bit of a rough, it's very easy just to kind of file that down, whatever. A thing that I noticed with this guitar, a lot has been upgraded and changed, which I discussed in the last video. I don't know, for the better, I don't know. I think most of the upgrades are maybe for the worse, but whatever. So of course, for me, they would not be upgrades at all. Clearly, this is an aftermarket nut. It looks like a cheap plastic nut, but again, I have no real issues with that. Whatever. But it looks like a pre-slotted nut that was just kind of thrown on. It's sticking way, way up past the strings, way more than it needs to be. So when I'm playing in first position and my finger touches that, it's a little unnerving, just because it's sticking into the side of my finger. but I mean, it's sticking up, oh, I don't know, over 1/8 of an inch. That's way, way too much. So I will definitely take care of that. There's no need for them to be, that the slots to be that deep. It seems like it's fine. The slots may need to be lowered slightly, but we'll address that. But there's certainly no need for a giant amount of the nut to be sticking up, completely useless. The slot holds the string, and everything above the string isn't doing anything at all, except just, sitting there. So I would say this is an aftermarket nut. So, like I had mentioned, this is not a maple fretboard. This is a one-piece neck. And, that I maybe prefer a maple fretboard. I think maybe with 2 pieces of wood glued together, it may be a little more stable. One piece of wood could, warp or shift or twist or whatever. 2 pieces, a little more stable, sort of the whole idea behind plywood. All the layers with the grain alternating. A piece of plywood is extremely stable. It's unbelievably heavy, because of the glue and all of that. But, with just 2 pieces of wood, I don't think that one glued joint, I don't think is going to, add an insane amount of weight or anything. But I think it's a little more stable. I think maybe with a maple fretboard, it adds a little more snap and pop to the tone. I don't know. But it's not enough to, scrap the neck and, start searching for another neck with an actual maple fretboard. I'm not that worried about it. So that's about it. It's a pretty nice maple neck, 21 frets. On my main guitar, I have 24 frets, and it's cool, it's nice, but, in real practical use, I almost never go past, the 21st or even 22nd fret, whatever. Rarely. And to have a neck like on my main guitar, it's made by Warmouth. They make great stuff. Fairly expensive, but you really get great quality for what you're paying for. So I don't want to say, that it's too expensive. You're paying for what you're getting, and it's very high quality. But to get a neck like I would want with the 24 frets, it would already be scalloped. I would already have them do that, and it would have the huge stainless steel frets that I like, all of that. The neck itself is going to be almost $400, and for right now, if it really bothers me, if I, hit the lottery or whatever and decide, hey, you know what, I want to spring for a $400 neck for this guitar, if I like the sound of it that much, then, I'll go for it. But I think a lot of the sound of the guitar is the neck. So, now if I like the sound of the guitar and everything, it sounds great, it plays great, which is almost all entirely the neck, then I go and replace the neck. I've now changed the feel of it, and I've now changed the tone of it. So it may not even be, worth worrying about. But that's, pretty much what we have here. I didn't even reference my notes. One-piece neck, 24 frets, my frets are okay, that's okay. Truss rod, all of that. Yeah, you know what? I didn't even need my notes. Rock on. Another thing that I do like about this neck is it's definitely faded. It has that sort of rich amber kind of a finish to it. It's been played a lot. There's a lot of finish worn off the edges of the fretboard and everything. The frets, have been fairly flattened down by, and all of that, wearing out the tops of the frets. But the neck really isn't banged up. It isn't dinged up. It's really in nice condition. But I do like the sort of older, vintagey, like amber yellow kind of tint to the finish. So all in all, I'm pretty happy with the neck. So we have a neck, we have a body. Now we got to start assembling some stuff. So stay tuned.